Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Hey, listen, they say they caught the assassin, so we're going to listen to the press conference. I don't know if I have much to say, but it's going to be interesting to see how much detail they give us on how they found this guy and what that really means. America's in a bad place right now, not because just Charlie Kirk, but once the bullets start flying over ideology. Once again, we've had some really bad moments in history based on assassinations over ideology. And when people lose arguments, if they start to kill people, that's really bad. So here we go, and let's hear what they have to say.
At today's press conference, we will hear from Governor Cox, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits.
Oh, does this mean that he had an accomplice as well? I'm not clear. Who's he talking to? And is that guy an accessory to what's going on?
I know there's been speculation as well as to the the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I'll share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it.
I'm thinking, listen, as soon as they found a rifle, even before they put out a picture, I'm thinking that it was just a matter of time before they got the guy. I mean, the rifle, no matter how it is, if they didn't shave off the filings or the serial numbers, it's like a footprint. There would be a circle of people who had that rifle before, and there's just no way that they would just be one step closer to finding out who ultimately got the rifle. I mean, it might not be easy, but finding that rifle was huge. I mean, it was just almost as huge as the damn picture. All right, let's keep going.
Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who's worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well.
It's amazing that it's his family members that brought him in. Or is it really amazing? I mean, I guess everybody who's listening to that has to soul search. If you found one of your loved ones, a son or a nephew or a cousin, I guess it depends on how you're related to that person. But do you actually turn them in, or can you possibly not turn them in? Especially if that person is going to be around you, around your house, around everybody else, and you know that they committed this heinous crime. So it sounds like maybe it's not really that so far-fetched that the people around him, who was his family members, would turn him in.
I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I'll now turn the microphone over to the director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House, who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, And I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play. We will play that role, and we will lead after the federal government. Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can. Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake field office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said. and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions. And we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, complicated, and a very, very
They didn't say his name, but I guess we'll see. We'll hear it before it's all over.
fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that has stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
Listen, it's absolutely a great thing that they have this guy in custody. Now, I'm not so sure he acted alone. So they're not really mentioning that. Maybe some of these guys will come up and say that. But it sounds like he has some help, even with placing the rifle and getting the rifle that he needed. It's clearly that this guy was not was a decent shot. I mean, that wasn't not an easy shot. You know what I'm saying? So if Charlie was, bigger up on the Richter scale, they probably would have never had a man on the roof at 200 yards, whatever it is. So anyway, it is what it is now. So let's hear what the rest of the people have to say.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here and maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere, and every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here.
You see, now he glossed over. I stopped him for a second. That's right. And we got to say it more often. When people start to say your words are violence, that's bullshit, man. especially if you have legitimate opinions and your ideology is against this. That's not violence. That's an opinion. So that was a big point that he made there. And then enough people don't say that. We allow people to get away with calling your opposition to how they want to live or what they think violence. It's just not true. It's just not true. Violence is violence, not words.
And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet, all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. This bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There's no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes. Because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. God, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Governor, can you please speak to whether...
That was a pretty good speech, man. I appreciate what he was saying. Hey, listen, you know what? He's the governor, so he makes speeches. So let's hear what the questions have to say.
the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in?
I cannot speak to that.
Governor, how do you interpret this motivation? Governor, how do you interpret the agreement on casing?
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not. And by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you talked about this level of hatred that this person expressed at a dinner. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you've discovered that may have radicalized or changed him to prompt him in such a horrific act?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
Can you tell more about the family, what they had to say about the suspect?
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now with drugs?
Yes. So
Well, no, we
right
can-
now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody, that his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him.
Is he
Can you
talking
tell us
about
more about what the family is saying about Tyler Robinson?
I can't share any more than what I've already shared.
Is he talking
Governor,
about
do you have
authorities?
details on how he got back to Washington County and how the gun was obtained?
So how we obtained the
I don't know
gun
what smoke.
was
My link ain't working. It looks like it's working fine to me.
So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Is he talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I'm sorry.
Did the suspect plan to carry out any other attacks?
We don't have any information that
Are you
released.
going to be releasing the mugshot?
Yes, in fact, it was just released.
Is he
Yes.
talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I can't answer that right now.
Can you clarify?
You've spoken very eloquently about trying to reunite this country. Do you feel that this is a watershed in American history?
I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is what kind of watershed, and that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history, or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look. I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s. And having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets, we are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery.
No. Governor, you're wrong. The problem is that we've been desensitized to that shit because of social media and the fact that anybody could see these things. You know, back in the 60s when I was younger, you couldn't see the actual, devastation of these assassinations that easy and that graphically on demand. They didn't show those on TV. You know what I'm saying? You had to get tapes from archives and stuff like that. Now, people are seeing these things in slow motion and desensitized. The way people have celebrated this particular tragedy, whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, is absolutely demonic and diabolical.
And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion tonight, last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be. I mean, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there. This is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice. Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct.
Clarify this?
Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here.
Suspect was from Utah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about where, and was he a student here at this university, and is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah, so I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I would just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah.
So, good morning.
You understand?
Hey, what's going on, man? Wait a minute, let me stop this for a second.
We have 3 days for.
Did you see the whole press conference?
Yeah, I've been watching it.
All right, man. What's going on? How you doing, man? Have I seen you around?
Pretty good. Let me switch my headphones. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think that he was a Boy Scout, how y'all painting him out to be.
Oh, well, wait a minute now. Before you say all that, you mean Charlie Kirk?
Yes.
Oh, he was no Boy Scout. No, absolutely not. I could dig that. So we don't have no disagreement there. I just, let's not make any assumptions on where I stand on it. But go ahead speak. I mean, listen, my name's Rich Payne, man. I've been around for a while, man. I don't know if I've seen you around at all, but thanks for stopping by. So go ahead, man. Go ahead, say what you guys say.
Yeah. Much respect. Yeah, I know your show. I think I follow you already. That's how I saw you today. I think I know you from I think a couple last year, Mike's panels.
Trigger Mike. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, man. So listen. So what's your perspective on this?
I think that they trying to. What's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to whitewash his message and image as a martyr and make him a martyr.
For some people, he's going to be a martyr, but I don't know if they have to try to make him one. But some people, but it's an individual thing, right? I mean, he's not going to be a martyr to you. He's not going to be a martyr to a lot of people in a lot of communities, right? So if they're trying to make him a martyr, what does that really mean to you or anybody else?
That I only care about the Black conservatives. I'm saying that they're making him out to be somebody who didn't have faults in his message. And
you're specifically saying the Black conservatives like Officer Tatum or guys like him. Do you know who that is? That is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nah, yeah, he did have faults in his message. My whole point, man, just to let you know, is that the scariest part is not his message. It's the fact that we're shooting bullets at each other based on ideology, and those become the worst kind of feuds. I mean, civil wars, war. I think people should be able to have their own ideological views without the violence, because the conversations mean that we don't have to agree, but we shouldn't kill each other over that. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so. I don't think it stops at ideology. I think what he's doing extends to policy, and it also extends to anger from the lower to the low middle class, low class whites.
All right. So, okay, I agree with ideology. Depends on who's in power, gets to set policy, right? So this, so then we say whether a conservative ideology and policy is better than a liberal ideology and policy, right? In either case,
not that part of it. As far as the ideology, I'm saying that. But I guess what I believe about what his message is, that it's founded in a level of hatred, right? So I'm saying that there were conservative values that the guy with the mustache had, that he believed.
I disagree with that. I mean, I don't know. You can, I don't disagree with that. I can't speak to that, right? Because when people say that, let's just come on out and say, we think he hates black people, right? You say, I think he hates black people. Let's just say that, for example. And he talked about a lot of other things besides just black people. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think he's stoking anything different than what's already ingrained with other people who might hate black people. And I don't think you have to be a conservative to hate black people, by the way. I think one of the biggest enemies to black people is the white liberal. And I didn't say that. Malcolm X said that, because of the way they want to keep us under a constant fog of victimization. And while they're more like a Trojan horse than the enemy we know, right? Because they're the enemy we don't know, right? And I think now I upgraded the fact that I think it's not only the white liberal that's our biggest enemy, but now it's the black liberal that's our biggest enemy. I don't think there's any worse man working on the face of the earth than Brandon Johnson and what he's doing to Chicago, the blacks in Chicago. I don't give a shit what he said. I don't care how many black people he puts around him. What he did to the black communities in Chicago is diabolical, right? So, and he looks like us. So, but again, I'm not idolizing Charlie Kirk. And I understand that there's a lot of people who feel the way they feel. I'm not going to try to change that. I can tell you just honestly, brother, that I don't think any of us should be dancing on his grave. That's not because of him. I wouldn't dance on anybody's grave like that.
Yes, I guess so. I'm saying that the persons whose rhetoric is in contrary to the, I guess, the osmosis or status quo of my people, right? When I see him go away, that's a positive. Because his
message doesn't go away though, right? The message didn't go away though.
The message didn't go away, right? Just like Martin Luther King didn't invent that ideology, right? He was just the powerful speaker who was able to get it to the masses,
right?
So the power of the influential, the charismatic leader is important. So we understand that Martin Luther King is important, but somebody had that idea before Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
you more than likely heard it from somebody else. So just saying that, because the message doesn't go away, things changed post Martin Luther King, no matter what we want to say about him.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay,
right. So his I guess what I want to say is that his willingness to work in the political realm, right, is similar to how Kirk, right? So he might have been far right, but he found a way to work in politics, and their ideologies, right, have rolled over into actual policies, right? Things that can be done legally, right, that don't look racist on the externally, are being done basically fluidly in politics, and nobody's the wiser.
I mean, listen, if you, I hear you. I guess essentially, when you have a, it's whoever's in charge. For what I think right now, I think as far as black folks are concerned, I think that we needed a sea change in the way we vote anyway, but not because of Charlie Kirk. This is a different kind of conversation. I think that we've been giving our votes away for so long. I mean, I'm 66, man, all the way up until shit. I voted for Hillary Clinton. God damn it. And I hated her. I didn't hate her. I didn't hate anybody. I didn't like her, but I didn't vote. I voted against Donald Trump just for the same old shit everybody says. Oh, he's a racist and all this kind of stuff. But then I started looking at policies, the policies that I can't agree with on on the way that the new Democrats are running things. I don't agree with a lot of what they. And then once Biden opened up those borders and all the money and all the low-hanging fruit jobs and all that started going to illegal aliens and our tax dollars, I said, wait a minute, man. Because the fabric of what we call the United States is going to dissipate with all these people who are not assimilated into our country. Now, I understand that there's a certain segment of black folks, black Americans, who don't necessarily consider themselves full Americans. I'm not one of them. I believe that I'm an American, and when I'm saying whatever America have to offer, I feel that I'm entitled to if I work for it. If I earn it, I should be able to get it. And that's how I look at it. And I believe everybody else who works to earn something, it might be a little harder to get, but it's better than complaining. That's my philosophy on things. So I'm more of an independent these days, So with Charlie Kirk, I never really, let me tell you, I might have listened to maybe a few of his debates with the students, but I've never really sat down and listened to him religiously, right? When I saw him out on some of these college campuses, I've seen maybe 3 or 4 interviews when he goes back and forth with the college kids. But, I didn't follow him that religiously. I know he's on Turning Point USA. I remember Candace Owens was there for a second. Some other people, some other black conservatives, but I just don't like the idea of a person getting sniped like that in the country. That's not good for any of us. I don't care what side you stand on.
Right.
I think that's wrong.
So. I guess the consequence, even like of these conversations, there is a certain amount of bravery that you have to have these conversations.
I agree.
There are consequences because if you're upsetting the status quo for somebody, right, by having a negative conversation. So I guess I'm saying that's part of it. So if you want to, say how much you don't agree with, say if it was gay marriage, right, if it was trans rights, things like that, right. So when you say those things have a consequence to them.
That's right.
And you being brave, being able to have those conversations. You're not being brave because you're not scared, right? You're being brave because you know that there's a consequence to it.
Yeah, and the consequence should never raise to the level of somebody assassinating you.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that as men, there are things that we believe in so much that we are willing to die for. So how important is the family?
No, let's stay right there. What you just said. Let's mine that out for a second, right? When you talk about there's some things worth dying for. All right, so I guess you're not a trans, but let's just use the trans issue, okay? And let's say, you know what? I'm not against a person who wants to be a trans. None of my business. But when they try to change laws to make me bow to somebody's ideology, I have issues with that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to take a rifle and shoot that guy. The reason why they hate Charlie Kirk is because he was intelligent with his arguments and they couldn't beat his arguments. And that's why he got assassinated. So these guys got frustrated to the point where let's just stop the messenger. And if you're saying, and because there's people who could debate, there's a lot of smart people who could debate, no matter what their ideology is. And if you get to the level of, I gotta, now I can't beat him with my words, so I just gotta stop the message, period. Man, we'd be in a bad place in America for that. So what raises to the level where we need to start shooting people? because we're
No,
gonna
I
always
don't.
have. No, I'm not saying you are saying this. Let me just finish this.
No, yes, I'm saying I don't agree with that part, but I'm
No,
saying that
well,
standing in the gap, right,
okay.
in the breach of like where something isn't being said that you feel that it needs to be said, right? Your heart beats fast when you make those kind of statements because it is
A consequence.
a risk that you're taking, right? It's a consequence. I'm saying that I agree that you shouldn't be shot, but I'm saying that
Well,
what I
there's
see
other consequences. There's other like losing a job, for example.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. I could see now that's something we could talk about. If you lost a job because you having an ideology that might go against the profits of a company or the standards of a company, I can dig that, right? Sometimes they go overboard with that. So yeah, there is consequence to your free speech. I agree with you 100%. But the consequence should be or you lose popularity, right? If I have a certain popularity or a certain business and I take a certain position, people might stop buying my product. That's a consequence. Those are consequences. Okay, you know what? You're brave for saying this because you know the consequences. But when they raise to the level, and that's the only reason why we're here, because this time the consequence rose to a level of assassination. And that's a different ball game because there's no slippery slope there. We're rolling down a hill. You get one of mine, I get one of yours, and where does that end? Once the bullets, I was alive in the 60s. I was a young man in the 60s. I remember they was picking off people left and right. The president, his brother, Malcolm, Martin. I mean, they was just blowing people away.
Yeah, I guess like one of my favorite new phrases inflection point. So I guess I'm saying so at that point in history, what were they upset about, right? So I always like refer to people to the picture of Ruby Bridges going to school.
Okay.
All right. So what were those white people upset about? Right. So much so that they were physically angry, right, that she was going to their school, right? What was such a big deal in those moments that they needed to come out and protest that little girl going to one of their schools, right? What were they feeling?
Well, okay. So are you asking me a question or just making a statement?
No, I'm saying what were they feeling? What was there to be mad about?
I mean, well, you're asking me to answer that. I mean, they were racist. Right, you're talking about the girl segregated.
Right, no, right. That's one thing, right? But what's the why? Right? What was being hurt?
Well, they didn't want to mix races. They wanted to segregate the schools. You know why they wanted? Here's my listen. I don't know if I'm right here. The reason why I believe segregation was so important to white people and the people who wanted to profess that, including President Biden, by the way. A lot of people keep forgetting that shit, right? Is because white people, some people who understand social engineering understand that proximity changes people's minds. So once you start integrating blacks with whites and Hispanics, and everybody starts to understand that you have more in common than you have not in common. And then they were worried about their white girls falling in love with black men and all that kind of shit. They wanted to separate the races because they couldn't control what would happen once we started mixing. So it was a level of control there. Let's just keep whites to whites and blacks to blacks. Now let me tell you this: if the black neighborhoods had the funding and all that kind of stuff that the white neighborhoods have, I'm not so sure we would have been arguing as much. I don't know.
So I guess so. I agree. I guess like the way I see the timeline is that they see their country slipping away, right? So their anger and angst from Jim Crow to now has come in waves, right? So there are points where like, okay, it was cool, everybody was kumbaya, but then the next point, I guess we just skip way ahead of a whole bunch of stuff and say they see a black man with the highest office in the country. And then, right? So we integrated the schools, right? We knew better, right? Those people in that picture knew better. don't let this happen. Right, then we fast forward to all the kumbaya, the snowflaking, all of that stuff, and then we get Barack Obama. Right, so what does that mean to the collective ego of the white man in the country?
Well, listen, okay, I hear where you're going with this, but I think you're missing something, right? You're missing the fact that white people put Barack Obama in office, not black people. I mean, we voted for him in those swing states. But remember now, our electorate is still minuscule towards the white electorate. So the point really is there was a significant amount of white people who voted for Barack Obama. Not just the first time, but the second time was like a surprise to people because all the white people thought he definitely was going to lose. The news media couldn't believe it. So there's a significant amount of white people who don't necessarily agree with what you just said. They just want to live and let live. Now, is the country is the country slipping away from them? Not just because of black people, it's slipping away from them because of integration and people are mixing. Spanish people, Chinese people, everybody's mixing, and the unfettered immigration that they have with all these illegals here. So whatever they thought was the American way has been kind of watered down, not just because of us. We've been at 13% for centuries. So I mean, I think black people think we're the center of everything. I think we think everything's about us. It's not really true. And
right.
there's
okay, go ahead. Yeah, so even during the Civil War, it was still two sides, right, of white people.
Yes.
So so they were represented by two different sides.
Yes.
So there's one side that was less, we could say still racist, but had a different viewpoint on how to.
They wanted to save the Union. They wanted to save the Union. It's not like they love blacks. Right? They wanted to save the Union.
But look, listen, right, and then even like their moderate liberalism said, if that takes freeing the slaves, okay, right? That's the incremental part of it. So what I'm saying is that with Barack Obama, right, the Southerners who say if they had a stronghold on the country, how would it look for them? And right, for the rest of the country, if we stop letting things be progressive, if we keep it as family values first, Christian values, and keep it here, right? But once we start having losses, because everything considered a loss, say the Civil War, right? You got post Jim Crow, civil rights, and then you say, okay, now you got people who are comfortable with this. They're teaching their kids new things as far as what race is and how to approach people. And now Barack Obama becomes the president. Right. So how do those same people, those same descendants of the Southerners feel right at that moment that like, okay, we started here on top, starting this country, and then now we got to this point where we're kind of, you can visually see us losing our stronghold.
Yeah. I know I'm with you, but but the truth of the matter is they're still on top. But you got to understand this. I think when we use terms like progressive, we act as if progressives aren't racist.
I think we're racist as well.
No, let me just say this. People forget that the Democrats had us in chattel slavery, not Republicans. People forget that the Democrats were the ones.
You know better than that, Arpain. You know that's dishonest.
No, it's not dishonest. They were Democrats. They were Democrats.
But you know that the Democrats and Republicans switched from North and South during Reagan.
You can't. They were Democrats.
No, right. But you know who was a Democrat changed?
No, it doesn't matter. They were still Democrats. I mean, let me finish.
No. Just because they were named Democrats doesn't mean the people that they represent are the same.
No. Yes, it does. They were Democrats, and the Democrats were the leader.
Absolutely wrong.
No, that's not wrong.
Don't you know better than this?
No, I don't. Yes, you do. They were Democrats.
So are you saying that right? Are you saying that right now? So you're saying right now,
you won't let me keep going.
Former slave owners, I'll let you finish.
They were Democrats, and then when the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrats had, and the Republicans with Lincoln were the ones who fought slavery to keep the Union together, and a consequence of slavery was freeing the slaves. Not that they cared about us, is that it was more important for them to have a United States. So there was Republicans and they were Democrats. And the Dixie people were Democrats politically. You might not say they're the same Democrats
the
now,
more conservative white men.
but they still were Democrats.
I'm asking you a question. Were they the more conservative white men?
Listen, yeah, they were conservative, but they still were Democrats.
I'm asking you. I'm saying it's a yes or no question. Were they the more conservative white men?
Well, you talking about today or back then?
The Democrats.
Back then, they were conservative Democrats. They were Democrats. But they still were Democrats because we had Republicans and they were conservative too.
The word Democrat doesn't mean anything.
No, hold on.
What they represent and what they push is what means.
Let's bring it from the past all the way to the front. The Ku Klux Klan, their leaders were Democrats. Jim Crow was proliferated by Democrats. Matter of fact, and the Civil Rights Bill had to get through the Senate because the Republicans broke the filibuster. The Democrats were against it. Just go back to how they passed the Civil Rights Act through the Senate. It was 100-day-old filibuster, and it was a Republican who had to break the filibuster. And then Lyndon Baines Johnson signed it. Okay, so it was the Democrats who were keeping the civil rights open. And then we heard the quote that when Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, I'm gonna keep these Negroes, he said, niggers under me for 200 years. Now, I haven't found that quote. They said he said that. I don't know if it's true or not. Some of these things become myths. So the Democrats now have 90-something% of Black people still on the plantation, but mentally, like they're the best for us. And our inner cities are shit. And the high schools in those inner cities are shit. And they right now, today, their party, progressives, want transgenderism. They want gender affirming care, child mutilation, unfettered borders with people who just come here and just live off the taxpayers' dime. I don't have to care about Black or white. I'm saying I don't like those policies.
Right.
You know, so that's what I'm saying.
I guess I understand that, but I guess my assumption is that you do know better. Maybe you don't. So I'm saying that if we had somebody who was post Civil War, Confederate, right? They were Democrats out of that process. They became Democrats, then they get into a cryogenic chamber, they freeze themselves, right? And they wake up in 2025, right? That same exact person who was a Democrat when he was frozen, right?
I hear where you go.
Wakes up in 2025, and then he just hears what they're talking about. Where does he go?
Well, listen.
Nah. Thank you for your lack of a poker face.
No. It's funny because I'm hearing what you said because I don't disagree with how you're trying to line this up. I disagree. So the fact that the Democratic Party has been taken over by progressives doesn't mean that they still don't have blue dog Democrats in it. They do.
Right, but I'm saying the Confederates are Republicans now.
No, that's not necessarily true.
That's not necessarily true. The Southern Democrats of old, of Bull Connor's era, are Republicans now.
Yeah, you know what? That could be true. That could be true, but that has nothing to do with the historical context of where I was coming from. Because you're talking about now conflating it with back then. Back then they were Democrats. All right. And in the same token, we shouldn't have that much angst against the conservative Republicans because they're the ones who freed slaves. Listen, here's what I'm saying. And I hate to say this because I know when Black people get into, not you, but we get into these black and white discussions. When the Civil War happened, right, whether it was for us as slaves or not, the white man from the North decided to kill his cousins and his uncle, his family members from the South in order to keep the Union together. And as a consequence, we became free from the same old chattel slavery. I don't know why it's so hard for some black people to say, thank God that some people were willing to die to keep to keep the union together, and as a consequence, we were free. Because in 150 years, look where we are now, and we're still complaining about shit that I don't think we should complain about anymore. You know, I think we should be informed about the past as best we can, but we should shape our own futures because we have the ability to do that. And even with all the horse shit that's out there, some institutional racism that still exists, well, it leaks like a sieve because you and I both know very successful black people and black families and all that kind of stuff. So we are bound by what we believe more than the ideology of a racist white man. That's what I think, you know, and that's what we should debate about. So, like, for example, you know, you and I, this is our first time having any kind of full-length conversation like this, but that shouldn't make me your enemy or you my enemy because we don't agree on those kind of things, or we don't agree on all the stuff we say. And that's where I'm coming from. That's what this Charlie Kirk thing says to me. I heard him talk about some of his black issues. I didn't agree with some of those things, but some of them had a modicum of truth in it. Right. And, you know, and some of his statistics were off. Right. And yeah, but his intention to be racist or to point out something? It could have been a combination of both, you know? So, yeah. So from that standpoint, you know, maybe he wasn't the greatest guy, but man, I think it's bigger than him now, man. Shooting him. Did you see the assassination?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't want to see. You know, I knew I wasn't going to see the full thing on YouTube. I happened to go over to X, and it just was playing, and I saw the full thing. I said, man, you know what? I really didn't want to really see that. You know, but we get desensitized to it because we see death and destruction everywhere. You know, and now, you know, we can just say, oh man, they just killed Charlie Kirk. On everybody's seen, little kids have seen it. Everybody has seen it, and we're being desensitized to death, and that's not good. You know, so man, listen, you know, I do a show on Black Man Unfiltered. You ever been on Black Man Unfiltered Network?
I have.
Yeah, so every Monday I do a show there. So I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do a Charlie Kirk show. Charlie Kirk, what's the title? I had a title that I had Charlie Kirk. And the free speech should not be deadly. I think that's the title of it. You know, I think, let me get the right title here. This is my suggestion for, Charlie Kirk, the penalty for free speech should not be death. That's the title. You know, so I mean, I come on 7:00 Eastern every time. So I've been doing that for a little while. And my channel here, I do these political reactions live. But it's not on a regular basis. It's intermittent, depending on what I want to see. You know, I just go live just to see who might show up, man. You know, so I'm happy that you popped up there, man. So anyway, I was thinking about trying to do more live stuff on here. I just don't have a consistent thing, you know. So it depends on what's going on. On my channel, this channel, I have all kinds of stuff on this channel. The absolute thing they tell you not to do on YouTube. You know,
I seen you a couple times on Facebook too.
Oh yeah, I'm on Facebook, man. I put a lot of these things on Facebook. So are you an attorney or you're actual attorney?
No, I'm like a labor rep. I work for a labor union.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm retired, man. So I got all this time, man. I retired in 2020 during the pandemic, and I'm a real American now. I'm a true American because my check comes from the Office of Personnel Management. So we got to keep America going as long as we possibly can, man. You know what I'm saying? So I can't have people killing each other, man. You know, America the great. You know, keep those retirement checks coming, man. Anyway, brother, I gotta go, man.
All right, brother. Thank you for letting me up.
So you have a YouTube channel, or anything like that, or you just?
Yeah, I do.
What is it? Is it Bandit Attorney?
No, give me a second. I got it. Where is it?
Well, you can put it in the chat, man. You got, I do a sports show
Okay.
on my other channel too. I used to do it on this channel, but I moved that to a different channel. Every Friday, and not every Wednesday at 7:00, I do a sports show. I have a couple of fellas that come up. I don't do that live. I do it, whoever's on my email list, if they want to pop in, we have a conversation for like an hour or so, and then I can, since I don't do it live, I could at least edit it, a little bit better. So, did you put something in the back, or?
Yeah, I did. Let me see.
I didn't see it. Oh yeah, well you got to put it there. I didn't see it come up.
My bad. I'll put the link in there. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. And then I do have I got 3 channels. They're small, man. I just kind of I'm trying to offload some of the stuff off of this particular channel and make this a little bit more political or maybe relationship based. I got a theme based music channel as well.
Okay, I got you. And there it is.
Okay.
That didn't work.
It didn't work. Yeah, it didn't come up. So you can just tell me.
No, I got it.
Oh, I see it. There you go. All right. All right. Cool. I see you got a few subscribers going on there. All right, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Listen, like I said, when I go live here, it's usually a lot of times when they do a press conference, White House press conference, or something like this. I'll just pop up, but it's all intermittent. So maybe one day I'll put it, because I can't predict when those conferences are happening. So anyway, man, get in touch, man. Whatever, stay in touch, man. Take it in. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Later.
All right, have a good weekend, brother.
Yeah, you too. All right, everyone. Hey, listen, we had a nice conversation. Check that out when you're later on. And I see you out. Art Payne, marriage, politics, and sports. Over and out.